Hey guys. So, we just had the Adepticon previews, and I thought I'd go through, have a little look-see, and yeah, give my thoughts, but mainly just check out what we have coming up this year. So, you got Space Wolves. Actually, we'll post all these and go through it on this post. Space Wolves, first off. Looked like they were going to have a whole rehaul. Oh. There's some Space Wolf intercessors. They're kind of boring. Space Wolves aren't really my aesthetic. I like the cloaks, I like the skulls. What I don't like is this kind of barbarian looking face. Like this guy here. Definitely this guy. This guy looks so good. This guy looks so good. This guy. Those two look alright. But yeah, and I also don't like it in Blood Angels. I just don't think Games Workshop knows how to give a good give like a good ferocious human expression. New Fenrisian wolves look quite cool. I really like these guys. I think these guys are going to be sort of like the Space Wolf specific Blade Guard bits, kind of how the Inner Circle companions are for the Dark Angels. And I really like the priest. The lieutenant's kind of just so-so. He's cool, but he's whatever as well. But that priest, especially with that helm, I've seen the other helms for him, the other head options, and they're alright, but I really like this wolf skull helm. And then you're also getting special edition codex supplement, index cards, so that's definitely a good buy. I would have preferred that they maybe instead of how many have they got? Three, six, wait, 9, 12, 15. What? 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9, 10. Oh, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like they've got 10 of the intercessors and then 5 of these guys, which I don't know what would you call them? Heavy intercessors? Something different anyway. In my opinion, those are something different. But what are they? Is it just 15 intercessors? See, I think that's kind of lame. I would have maybe dropped it down to. I would have liked to see some Thunderwolves, basically. Some Thunderwolf cavalry. Even if it was only 3, I definitely think that would have improved this box. But hey, I don't work at James Workshop. Um, we have Blood Claws, basically Space Wolf Scouts. There, isn't it? See, like, this dude's head, I really like his pose, but his head, oh my god. This dude looks alright. And see, they've all only got bolt pistols, so maybe they are different. Grey Hunters. Yeah, so they're definitely different. Grey Hunters, once they've worked out their natural ferocity and a modicum of discipline, they are assigned to a Grey Hunters pack. These more experienced troops carry light bolter carbines into battle so they can fire on the move, always closing on their foe until they can get into close combat. I didn't realize that these were a different thing. I think they've got 5 of them. So these are more the intercessors, whereas these guys are kind of like the scouts. Wolfguard head takers. Oh, okay. So the Fenrisian wolves actually they come they come with the Wolfguard head takers. And these guys are cool. I definitely think these dudes are, yeah, those nice sculpts, quite dynamic. Are they in No, that's not Terminator. It's just normal power armor. But these wolves are so much better than the current ones. That must be the leader. Wolfguard battle leader are field commanders who hold roughly the same rank and duties as the lieutenants of the more codex compliant chapters. They can take a range of weaponry and come with various cosmetic options. So again, really it's just a Space Wolf Lieutenant. I think I do prefer the hammer over the sword, just because it sort of sets them apart from. I'm sure there's a lieutenant, maybe the Dark Imperium lieutenant. There's a lieutenant with power sword that looks almost identical to the sculpt, like the pose. He just doesn't have the fur. Obviously, a different head and a different iron halo. Maybe a different shield. Well, probably a different shield. But he's very similar in his stance. And so I think switching it up to the hammer, like if this had that head or the blonde head, mate. And then the wolf priest. Combination of chaplains and apothecaries are handled by somber wolf priests who form a vital part of the Space Wolves cultural hierarchy, both as storytellers and healers. They are terrifying to behold on the battlefield, booming excerpts from great sagas over the dim of, I'm sure that's supposed to be din, over the din of battle, while glaring out from behind their chilling wolf skull helmets. So, like I said, this bald old man is quite cool, but I don't think like mate, the hooded wolf skull is just chef's kiss, chef's kiss, James Wade. And so you also get special edition Codex Space Wolves. Don't really think much of this art, and even the layout. I mean, I'm not a Space Wolf person. I am a Dark Angels person. Um, maybe that's where all the hate comes from. Maybe I'm hating because I'm a Dark Angels fan. But like, I'm assuming this dude's supposed to be the main character, and he just kind of fades into the chaos of the cover art. So, but I mean, a lot of people talk about how the artwork is becoming more generic in recent times, and I do agree with them. Um, these are basically just any old space Vikings. There's nothing specifically like even if you compare that, this is I think this is quite characterful. This Rune Priest, whereas this is very generic art or generic aesthetic. Um, so yeah. Anyway, go on to the next one. So we also had Crusade Armageddon and Grey Knights. Now, Crusade, from what I understand, and I mean I am a bit of a noob to 40k. Crusade is basically it's a supplement that goes along with a story event in in the ongoing story of the 41st millennium. So there's like Dark Pariah, Dark Pariah? Pariah Nexus, sorry, Pariah Nexus, Ark of Omens, all those kind of things could all be considered Crusade books. Oh, what was the one that came out at the end of? No, it was Arks of Omen, I think. Was the one at the end of yeah, with Abaddon, and Vashtor doing all their weird shit. So, and I mean, this is the one that's happening on Armageddon. And again, I am not super familiar with Armageddon's story. I know it has a lot to do with chaos, but let's have a read. Let's have a read and find out. Blood-red skies have opened on Armageddon's northern pole, and a demonic horde of unimaginable magnitude will soon be unleashed upon the long-suffering planet. The demon prince Angron is back for another round, and even the intervention of the Grey Knights may not be enough to stop him in the latest supplement for Warhammer 40k Crusade Armageddon. In this detailed narrative campaign supplement, that's what it is, it's a narrative campaign supplement. So, less for the tournament side of things and more for telling a story through this particular event of the 40k narrative. In this detailed narrative campaign supplement, the Red Angels invasion unfolds over 43 pages of story. Legendary Space Marine chapters gather to throw back the incursion and decide the fate of this perennially battle-scarred hive world. Didn't realize it was a hive world. Big fan of hive worlds because I am quite a fan of the Necromunda franchise, probably more so than 40k itself in terms of the game modes. Obviously, the universe is just 40k, but whatever. You can take part in your own campaign to doom or defend Armageddon with unique branching paths for 3 separate alliances, bestowing thematic boons according to who won or lost in the previous campaign phase. For instance, you can rally Imperial morale in order to pass battle shock tests automatically in the next round. That's kind of cool. Like that. Let's have a look at this. So we've got Angron fighting some very short and squat Grey Knights. Not a fan of that Angron model. I mean, like, if I had the money, I'd probably buy it. Just because it's a cool big model. But I've recently seen the Forge World one. And by comparison, this Angron just looks so comical and cartoony and very Blizzard art style, if you get what I mean. I'm not sure if you get what I mean. But yeah. And this is actually one of the few. Normally, I think he looks like he's sort of quite defensive, and I don't think Angron should be like that. But this is the first time I've seen him from this specific angle, and I think the Grey Knights being there also helps him look like he is rushing them, rather than rather than sort of being a cornered bloodthirster. Because that is what Angron is to me. To me, Angron is a berserking, charging, raging beast. What do we have in the background here? Flying transports. That might be the new Grey Knight. Yeah, I think it is the new Grey Knight, Dread Knight, which is we'll get to that. Mauler Fiend or some sort of Spawn of Vashtor, Juggernauts, Zerkron Juggernaut, Horn Berserkers. Really nice sculpts. I do like those. Is that so? That might be the thing from. That looks like the statue from the new, recently released Kill Team set. What's it called? Blood and Zeal. More Grey Knights. Yeah. New Hellscape rules let you play games on battlefields riven with warp energy. Units may acquire new abilities to teleport across the battlefield or slip through the skeins of time. But be warned, the influence of the Empyrean is a dangerous thing, and unpredictable anomalies can wreck those who tamper with the warp. Now that sounds cool. Just a bit of a spoiler from further ahead in this video. One of the things that they added to the Tyranid Ravener kill team is the ability to tunnel each turn. So when they move, instead of having to move above ground, they can actually duck underground and pop up. And this kind of, I mean, just from the very briefest of glimpses that I've got, this sort of suggests that they are mirroring this in the narrative campaign. New narrative play rules power up your epic hero units by designating them mighty champions, with appropriate campaign-focused abilities depending on what kind of character they are. Angron, for example, is every bit a nemesis champion, who hunts down powerful enemy leaders, while Chaplain Grimaldus motivates his comrades as an inspirational champion. Let's find out what these are. Nemesis champions. Warriors like this excel in felling the enemy's leaders, whether by the subtle arts of assassination or in overt and spectacular duels. During the battle, if one or more character models are destroyed by an attack made by an epic hero model, or a model in a unit it is attached to, this crusade ability from your crusade army, then at the update crusade card step, all units in your crusade army gain an additional 1 XP. One of these was the enemy warlord yours. So they're basically a duelist. And then an inspirational champion. The mere presence of such iconic figures as these inspires incredible courage, or else terrified obedience in their followers. While an epic hero model with this crusade ability is leading a unit, you can ignore any and or all battle scars that bodyguard unit has. If your crusade army includes one or more epic hero models with this crusade ability, at the end of the battle you can select one additional unit from your crusade army to be marked for greatness. Okay. And so inspirational ones minimize your drawbacks from battle scars, which are like your basically in the same way as you accrue bonuses, you accrue penalties. Penalties are your battle scars. So you minimize the effect of battle scars, and you also spread the potential for boons. Demons running rampant, the most powerful and secretive Space Marines are called to once again banish Angron, just as they did in the First War for Armageddon. The Grey Knights are ready to drive the spear into Khorne's legions with an updated codex. I'm neither am I a Grey Knights person, nor am I a must buy every codex that game's like. I honestly, I've been buying up Ninth Edition. One, because I think Ninth Edition was better than 10th. It might not have been balanced, but I am into narrative, and So ninth edition is perfectly fine for me. Ninth and 8th. Um, and honestly, I would probably prefer to buy up all the codexes from ninth rather than even dipping a toe into the 10th edition ones, especially with the model, the business model they seem to be following at the moment. The Knights of Typhon have been busy, and their greatest champions stride forth with an updated Nemesis Dread Knight. It includes new weapon options like the Nemesis Flail, is that, and Nemesis Mace, and comes with plenty of additional parts to give your Grandmasters a suitable ornate war machine to ride into battle. Not my thing. Not my thing. I really like Grey Knights, like the model wise, I really like Grey Knight Terminators, Grey Knight Paladins. I think it's a shame that they're still in the old scale, and that is kind of what keeps me from buying them up. Especially when my beloved Dark Angels have got their Deathwing Terminators. Um, this kind of thing though, I never got into. I never understood the appeal of Gundam, and this is basically just a Grey Knight Gundam for me. It's a dude piloting a mech, and honestly, it just looks like the mech is carrying a Space Marine around in a baby carrier. Like, yeah. I'm really sorry, Grey Knight players, but I don't have anything nice to say about that. His flamer cannons look cool. His knee pads look alright. So yeah, and I mean, if that's the only model that was announced, which I think it was, just the Codex and the Dread Knight, like I feel like you guys kind of got fucked. Oh, can I say that? We'll find out together. I feel like you guys kind of got, mm, especially when like, look, this whole thing is about Crusade Armageddon. We've had, I don't know when the Corn Berserkers were released, but in the last Kill Team, Blood and Zeal, those were Corn characters. So I kind of feel like, yeah, Grey Knight should have got more love, even though I probably wouldn't be loving them. Sad. On to Chaos, World Eaters, Death Guard, and Thousand Suns. So we've already had Slanesh reveals with the Emperor's Children. They were cool. Now we are getting reveals for the other three Chaos Gods Legions. Yeah. The World Eaters kick things off with a new leader for their 8 bound. So it looks like they've only got one new unit for each god in addition to the updated codexes. Codices? I don't know. We'll say codexes. But only because I've never seen Games Workshop refer to them as codices, even though technically that I'm pretty sure that's how you'd do it in proper English. But let's be fair, High Gothic is not proper English. The World Eaters kick things off with a new leader for the 8-bound champions, the Slaughterbound. A monstrously powerful warrior whose unquenchable lust for bloodshed is so great that they welcome a mighty bloodthirster into their soul. Oh, that's cool. So he's like a possessed, and something I've seen a bit of this stuff. I had not noticed that his arm was. I didn't realize this was a chaos mutation. That is sick. I wish maybe his arm bent at the elbow. That's really a nitpick thing. You could probably do that with a bit of kit bashing. But yeah, the thighs with the sort of striations. Oh, that's a nice model. Then we've got the Codex. By the Emperor's children, the World Eaters are now joined by their demonic allies within their own Codex. So you can field legions of bloodthirsters, and more alongside Connect Berserkers and 105 detachments. Okay. I would have preferred they called them Codex Corn then, in the same way as, like, rather than calling it Codex Emperor's Children, they called it Codex Slanesh. If you are combining the Legion and the demons together, like that is the theme. The theme is the god. It is not, but whatever. That's a nitpick. Death Guard receives a new codex to complement the Lord of Poxes we saw at the Las Vegas Open. 6 attachments, blah blah blah. That is really nice. So that's one thing. That's, again, just generic. Kind of looks like Khan. That particular head here, with the little spikes on the forehead and the... Oh, I've seen that so much. That must be so often reused. This Typhus. And even the color scheme. Usually Death Guard, everything is green. And whereas the little mozzie, fly, whatever it is, maggotkin, and Typhus himself are green, the purple does work to, oh, like, generic. Oh, again, chef's kiss. And then we have this dude. Now, I really like this model, and the reason I like this model, you can't see it here, but from the back, it is a great sculpt. That that sword, it always reminds me kind of a, well, one obviously of Berserk, Guts' sword, but it's kind of like the Chaos answer to the Judiciar's square blade. Yeah. But I'm a fan of that model, but we have seen that model before. And then the Thousand Suns have unshackled dark vaults of ancient technology and now unleash an unsettling robotic forms of the Sekitar robots on the galaxy. These are the same for me as the Dreadnought. They have the Dreadnought issue for me. I'm just not a fan of mechs. I'll have a look at it. Not a fan of mechs. Not really a fan. Like, I like the Egyptian thing, but I don't think this is a good job of it. And another complaint I have about this is that these arms, these sidearms with guns, and even these weapons, like that claw melee weapon, flameless so, they look to me very similar to, like, they're supposed to be the Thousand Suns' answer to a dreadnought. So why are there two? It's like they couldn't decide whether they wanted to make Thousand Sun dreadnoughts or what are they Wraith Guard? Or is it just called a Wraithbone Construct? You know, the Eldari walkers. So they're kind of, and making them Eldari walkers would make more sense to me because they're like psycho heavy. But yeah, again, can't say I like those. See, that's very dreadnought from the side, from the profile. And the back is very dreadnought too. So again, that art. So really, it's only the World Eaters that are letting down the Codex art. I really like that art. Might not be for everyone, but just how different it is from your standard Space Marine power armor, gun, and chainsword. Like, these are first and foremost space wizards, and that is definitely a space wizard rather than a Space Marine casting spells. No, I like it. I like it. Oh, yeah. So they'll come with special edition. That's pretty cool. That's kind of into the same thing as I was talking about buying all the codices, though. Like, it's just not for me. And this kind of stuff, like, it'd be nice to pick one of these up secondhand. Just speaking for myself, it'd be nice to pick one of these up secondhand, cheap, but it's not something that I'm going to rush out to buy. Chapter approved mission deck. Mission decks. I have the Leviathan mission deck. I managed to get a 10th edition core book and the mission deck. Picked it up for like I think $40 New Zealand. So they are. It's more for matched play. That's kind of the thing. However, asymmetry. Yeah, let's just read through it. It's all going off on Warhammer 40k with a series of major announcements. I'm going to so this is for matched play. The biggest change is the mission parameters step. You'll now be able to choose between three ways to play: 1000 point incursion, 2000 point strike force, and new asymmetric war games. And so right there, they've bumped it up from. I thought incursion was 500 points. Am I wrong in that? It seems like they're just creeping. Well, I mean, like they've sort of got Kill Team there now for the smaller scale games, but it has to be said there are balance issues trying to take a big army-wide game and still have the same kind of balance when you've only got access to 500 points worth of models. Um, but I mean, my jaded worldview, it just looks like that just looks like James Workshop is trying to kind of force you into buying more models in order to play. But like I said, I focus on ninth edition. This does not specifically affect me. However, yeah, I'm commenting on what I think about it, and I don't think it's a great business model to paywall enjoyers of your product out by making sort of the floor for entry being 1,000 points. What you don't even get 1,000 points of Space Marines or Necrons in the Indominus box. I'm not totally sure about the Leviathan box, but like that says something. If in the starter box you don't even have 1,000 points, and there's a lot of models in there. So if you were trying to build like a 1,000 point army just based on like individual units, not getting starter kits, not getting, and I mean that's the steelman for this. Then you're probably looking at like at least $500 NZ. So what's that? 250 to 300 American USD. And when you factor in like your units, the paints that you need to paint them up to battle ready standard, enough terrain to actually play a game that's not just throwing shit at each other. And then you factor in your books, like that's a huge initial investment. And but I mean, I suppose that yeah, it is what it is, and we know it is what it is. That's why I'm buying a 3D printer. Incursion games have fresh unit restrictions. Oh, there you go, that's part of the balance. And their own deployments to further balance smaller games, while asymmetric war presents a unique challenge with uneven deployment zones and differing primary objectives. This asymmetric war seems really cool. The secret missions in the current mission pack are out, replaced by new challenger cards. Okay. So secret missions were like missions that you didn't have to share. This new inclusion provides players who are trailing by 6 victory points or more at the start of a battle round with interesting tools to close the gap. Sorry, there's just some dude outside talking on his phone. I was eavesdropping. Challenger cards have two elements: a powerful, free-to-use stratagem. Now that's quite interesting. And a unique challenger mission to undertake on top of your primary and secondary. You can only choose one, so choose carefully. Let's have a look at an example of these challenger cards. Challenger. Force a breach. Break through their defences, smash down their walls and barricades, and breach their lines. Let no obstacle halt your progress. Use it in your movement phase. One unit from your army that has not been selected to move this phase. Effect. Until the end of the phase, each time your unit makes a normal or advanced move, you can move horizontally through models. Interesting. And terrain features. So you can basically ignore models and terrain. Oh, okay. So you can only use. Wait, they've got war there. Can you only use one or the other? Your extraction zone, your shooting stage. Your shooting phase. One unit from your army that is not within your deployment zone and is wholly within 9 inches of one or more battlefield edges immediately. Wait, what? You score 3 victory points. Oh. That specific one seems super overpowered. Established comes one unit from your all other units from your army. I mean, I don't play match play. What's it? I'm sure more information. Oh yeah, I can't really speak on to whether these are good or not, but mission deck comes with its own punch-out objective markers. However, there will also be snazzy, full-size objective markers made of flexible PET materials released separately. One of the guys in one of my local 40k Facebook groups actually makes these out of what's that fabric that mouse pads are made out of? You get you get game mats made out of neoprene, I think. He makes them and he makes them in a style of like you can order Tyranid ones, you can order Space Marine ones, you can order Tau Empire ones. So I mean, again, this isn't really that great to me. Okay, I'm sure it appeals to some people out there. Spearhead, Sand and Bone. Spearhead was resurrected in Shyish. So the last one was called Blood and Fire and Blood. Hey. And that came out. That was released with the Scaventide book. And like I've got a copy of that. Um it's a cool book. I guess I haven't played Spearhead, so I can't really speak to how great the game mode is. Um, and it looks like this is only the pack is really just the book, a gaming board, and the terrain. Um, yeah, the terrain. All of this terrain, I believe, is from here. It is the Warcry Crypt of Blood. Well, actually, just I'm going to quickly look at Warcry Crypt of Blood and see. Yeah, so you've got your twist decks and your tactics decks. So new decks is cool. Those boards are actually quite nice, I think, personally. Um, However, what I wanted to do is so there's four fences, the lady and the coffin. Four fences, lady, coffin. Yeah, so all of it is included in the Warcry thing. I don't know what I think about this. Like, a decent size, but it is really just scatter terrain. And the fact that they've just repurposed something from Warcry to put into Spearhead, that strikes me as cheap. I mean, hey, I am hoping for the best, aren't I? No? Hoping that they'll do everything. And I mean, like, it makes sense because not everyone's people aren't going to play Spearhead and Warcry and 40k. So I mean, why not reuse the same stuff in different ways? That's how you make money, isn't it? Gaming pack contains all of this 24-page book of rules for the Sand and Bone Spearhead Battle Pack and rules for four new Spearhead armies. Okay. You'll still need the core rules to play, which you can download for free from Warhammer Community. Yeah. So I've got Cities of Sigma, Fusel, Platoon. And these models aren't new releases, but they are. Well, maybe they are models that are going to coming out. No, I've seen those. That's a cool little spearhead. Let's check out the Seraphon because I collect Seraphon. Again, it's cool. It's not amazing. Those are Bone Reapers, Mortars and Elite. Ogres. Ooh, now, I'd quite like to get one of those, must say, for my orcs. Go with my boar boys. What are they called? Gore Grunters. Wait, are Gloom Spites part of. Oh no, it's because ogres are part of destruction. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, Spearhead is moving to Shyish. The battle's match play are shifting to Giran, for a season of blossoms and bloodshed in the realm of life. The General's Handbook 2025 to 2026 is the essential update for the Warhammer Age of Sigmar match play For the first time, it comes in a box that contains the General's Handbook, battle plan cards, war scroll cards for manifestations and associated spell laws, and 6 objective marker mats made from a flexible PET material so you can start playing right away. Oh, Scourge of Gyron is almost upon us. In the weeks leading up to every faction will receive free content from new enhancement choices, entire battle formations, which will be legal for match players, send us a bookland, so it will be available. So that looks kind of like Grotmus. Very similar to Grotmus, Scourge of Gyron. Just online detachments or not. What are they called? Battle plans. Enhancements and battle formations. That's quite cool. I like Gyron as a it's one of my favourite model realms, honestly. Oh, here we go. Kill Team Typhon. Now this is something I'm definitely going to get one of these. I have not decided where I'm going to purchase it from. If I can't find it cheaper. So there's a company in Australia that does things cheaper than I can get them new, even with the like 20% discount that you get from third party retailers. But I'll buy it here if I have to. This looks amazing. So we're still on Volcus. Volcus is where the Hive Storm was set. Volcus is where Blood and Zeal was set. I don't know if it's where the Orc Wrecker thing was. I think it was. Like the Rattlings versus Orc Wreckers. I think that was set in Volcus, but I mean, I could be wrong. So this is the. I mean, just look at it. Like that guy, Engine Seer. Where's the Venom one? I think it might be. Oh no, that looks like the Crush one. There's one of these that's kind of. There he is! Oh my. I love that model. This is the only one I think is kind of goofy looking, and it's just like that head thing looks a bit too. It looks really, really fucking Digimon-esque. Or who was it? Ikakumon, I think. Or like, yeah, he just looks. There's something water spirit about him, and I don't really vibe with it. But the great tectonic quakes that always follow the day of firing have revealed strange relics beneath the sands. But more than just damp and darkness awaits the explorator teams brave enough to venture down. A kill team of raveners lies in wait, bestowed with an element of self-preservation and enough alien cunning to give anyone a challenge. So, one thing I really like about this is that Tyranid's whole thing is that they land on a planet and they adapt to overcome the planet's defenses. And so you've got like your Tyranid warriors, your Termagants, your all these kind of like units of multiple creatures. And it does make sense to me that you would have like say on a planet that had like this Ravener team is a good example. I'm trying to make an example out of something else. So like let's say you had warriors on a planet. How about we'll use Space Marine 2? So those Tyranids, I think it was Leviathan, that landed on whatever the planet's name is in Space Marine 2. It would make sense to me that when the Hive realized they had encountered like Titus and the boys, there would be this unit of Tyranid warriors put together that were more elite than normal Tyranid warriors. Like it's essentially Swarm Lord variants of Tyranid warriors because you've got obviously elite defenders, it makes sense that the hive mind would dedicate resources to build specific adapted units to overcome these defenses. And what I really like about this kill team is that this is basically what these Ravagers are. So we've got Prime here, the Fell Talon, which kind of looks like it's got Venom Sacs. See, I'm just not a fan of the Prime. And so, fingers crossed, there are multiple hit options. Or perhaps you can't make all of the. I'd say there'll just be multiple hit options because there's not a kill team set that I've got yet that doesn't have. Um, like all of the kill teams I've brought so far have extra hit options. And I mean, if not, hopefully it matches. With the Prime, basically just a tough Ravener. Fell Talon looks like it's got Venom Glands going into its claws. I'd say there'll be a Venom or Poison aspect to his melee attacks. Because this is a melee focused army. Or melee focused team. Tremor Scythe. From the I think it'll be something Trigon like. So either those will be kind of like yeah, there'll be something, a little splash that happens when he pops up, I think, or when he attacks. The Wrecker obviously has Crushing Claws, and I also like what were those vampires in Blade 2? Jared Nomak. They called them something. Anyway, that mouth reminds me a lot of those. The Venom Spitter, which is my favorite of these models. It's a pity they don't have a image of the back of it, because that carapace suggests like it could go either way. It could either be fleshy kind of sculpts where its poison is made. Because from looking at it, what I think it is it's going to have some sort of bioplasma or sort of like somewhere between it's not a biovore and it's not a Haruspex. There's one other one that basically its mouth is a flamer. Um, it feels like it's going to be a combination of that and a Ravener. It could very well be a flamer pattern, or flamer template on the mouth, and then a warrior, which is just sort of standard Ravener. The Raveners are elites among elites, bringing only 5 operatives to the battlefield. Wait, 5, 2, 4. Sorry. So there's 6 options there, and they only bring 5 to the battlefield. So that kind of does suggest that you're going to have to choose. One of these is going to have to sit it out. That'll be interesting. Based on like, but I'm sure the Prime is the leader. With no grots, mutts, or funny little robots backing them up, players will keenly feel the loss of even a single miniature. But with the ability to tunnel under the kill zone and appear in unexpected places every time they move, this is the thing I was talking about when we were looking at Armageddon. But with the ability to tunnel under the kill zone and appear in unexpected places every time they move, and ferocious strength and melee, they are exceptional predators. The tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus are usually protected by legions of Skitarii, but in dire straits they will assemble a force of servitors to drown enemies with gunfire. The new spheric network woven between all of the lobotomized minds gives each servitor a more complete view of the battlefield, with saber operatives channeling their motive force to better placed allies. What? With saber operatives channeling their motive force to better placed allies for complex maneuvers. So something just like before we look into the AdMech units. I really like this parallel. The parallel between sort of you've got the biological hive mind and then you've got the technological new spheric network, which to me just is basically like all of these guys have been lobotomized and they're running on a LAN server. That is how that reads to me. That is my headcanon for it. And so that's why you've got all these servitors. You'd think they were just brain dead idiots and could not do tactics, but they're all being directed by an AdMech LAN server that spreads out across them. It takes information from all of them, your eyes and my eyes kind of thing. And so they're all working in concert, sort of like the hive mind does with its. Like, I remember hearing this. Uh, it was kind of like a description of how someone thought the hive mind works. And so the scary thing about it isn't that. Well, I mean, all these things are scary, but it's not like the termagants. It's not the big monsters. It's when you're in the fray and you're like cutting down waves and waves and waves of termagants. Maybe you've killed a hive tyrant or something, and then you see a termagant who should be running on instinct, who should be just this ravenous little fucking bug raccoon, basically, with rabies. And he's standing there on the horizon line, watching your squad. And something about it's like it's appraising you. And that's the scary thing, is that all of these feral animals are actually behind their eyes is this overwhelming, very, very, very powerful intelligence, and it is taking stock of the situation through all its units. And I do like that in this Kill Team Typhon, that concept is sort of mirrored on both sides in different ways. So we've got the techno archaeologist. I don't like this model. It's just meh. I honestly think these two should have been like. I'm assuming the techno archaeologist is the um, leader. I would have swapped these around. I think this servitor underseer. I think it looks a lot more Magos like, and there's actually nothing about this archaeologist that does not look servitor like. Like that's kind of the vibe I get from this is the one normal Magos. And then everything else in this is like, I mean, everything else has servitor in its name. Everything else is a lobotomized servitor, and I think they could have swapped these two models. But I mean, hey, I can do it in my and you can in a way. Um, the Underseer is gorgeous, very alien looking. Yeah, don't even really need to say much more. It's awesome. Gun servitors, I think these look cool. I do prefer this one. I've heard a few people say that they think this one on the left is actually it's been repurposed from something. I don't know the AdMech units well enough. I've never looked into collecting AdMech. Only select things from AdMech appeal to me. Um, so yeah, I'll probably just collect those certain things. Breacher servitors. Again, these are all quite cool looking, a bit less intimidating than the gun servitors, but they do look more. These are your guys who are kind of like cutting down locked doors and, as they say, breaching um, places. Like the archaeologists, I imagine basically Indiana Jones in space. And then combat servitors, who are just like your basic grunts. So definitely not as cool. There's more models in this range. 2, 6, 9, 10. So 10 models in the AdMech and only 6 in the Tyranids. It'll be interesting to see if you can make all 6 with the box they give you, or if you have to, build. Like, actually going back to it. Like those are definitely the same. Yeah, so those two look like the only ones that are the exact same kind of like those are variants of the same model. It'll be interesting to see how many of the admech you can field. Does it say? It doesn't say how many of the admech you can field, so it's possibly all 10. Anyway, this expansion also includes Tyranid-infested terrain pieces and a dossier chock full of rules and missions to make use of it. Like Brutal and Cunning and Blood and Zeal before it, the new book gives you an entirely new way to approach your games of Kill Team themed after their terrain, as well as a greatly expanded set of joint ops cooperative rules that include full NPO profiles for a variety of Tyranid beasties. Now, this is something I'm quite excited in. Like, most of my games I do play solo. Um, so having more joint ops, co-op rules, and also new like in the I've only got the Hivestorm. I don't have Blood and Zeal or Brutal and Cunning. But in Hivestorm, there's only two variants of NPO, and so it is quite cool that they're going to release. And like this kind of implies that it's going to be more than just Gantz. I mean, it might just be Termagants and Hormagants, but still. So yeah, that's cool. Got your dossier. Oh, fuck, that's so good. And then you've got your cards. Looks great. Typhon is probably the only thing from this that is a definite buy for me. And then Grand Cathay. Some of these actually do look really nice. So I don't even know. I was not into Warhammer Fantasy back in the day. Um, Grand Cathay has always been part of the lore. I don't know if it's ever had models. They're basically, from what I can tell, the Orient, the kind of like Pan Asian faction. The thing that really stands out for me are these weapons teams. However, the horses, I do think the horses are quite cool. So, like every other faction, oh wait, Grand Cathay is the realm of the celestial dragon Emperor Zenyang, an immortal who has ruled for over 5,000 years. The nation follows the philosophies and the teachings of the Emperor to the letter, living and battling with a profound sense of harmony in all things. The old world in a period of upheaval, Grand Cathay has dispatched an army to help beat back the darkness, and what a sight it is to behold! The first completely new faction released for Warhammer the Old World. Like every other faction in the Old World, Grand Cathay receives a battalion box containing 50 plastic miniatures. This balanced core of 30 Jade Warriors. Okay, so these are the Jade Warriors, must be. Or maybe these guys. Dudes on these. Can be deployed as 2 units of 15 or 3 units of 10. They are supported by 10 Jade Lancers, or horsemen, who can be split into 2 units of 5 with full commands. Then there are 2 artillery pieces which can be built either as a Cathayan Grand Cannon or a Fire Rain rocket battery with crew. Alright, that's pretty cool. So Jade Warriors are the guys on foot. One thing I'm not fully convinced on is that they're definitely stylized. They're kind of, I don't know. Like back in the day, Warhammer Fantasy models where their proportions were off. Like hands are a bit bigger than they would be. They're a bit shorter than you'd expect based on, and like heads and faces were a bit larger so that you could actually get the detail. Um, and they've sort of kept that. They've turned those limitations into their style in Warhammer: The Old World, and I'd be interested to see some of these side by side with like equivalents from Age of Sigmar and whether they, I guess, just look goofy and cartoony or whether they look, yeah, yeah. And that's the one thing that holds me back from Old World minis. And then you've got Jade Lancers, lads on horseback. I do think these are a bit cooler. The horses look dope. I think having more of their face covered actually works for them for that same reason I was talking about. Be interesting seeing these kit bashed with some of the Death Corps Death Riders. I reckon you could come up with some really, really nice. Assuming the horses are like to that same scale. Grand Cannon. I do like this. Like they're just very characterful. I think is the real appeal of these. Same thing with the fire. What's it called? Fire Rain Rocket Battery. Just wonderful character. Yeah. This looks. I think this looks goofy. It is more the aesthetic though. Like I don't think the model itself is a bad sculpt. It's just this kind of like seahorse dragon horse thing. Like that's basically what it is to me. It's an Asian seahorse dragon. And I don't know. Like something about this feels like it could make a really, really nice what's Hilarious faction? A really nice Sylvaneth proxy somehow. And I'm assuming this is just a regular horse with a dragon helm. I like that. I definitely like that. That could work quite nicely in Stormcast, I think. Sky Lanterns, basically a hot air balloon. I like the concept. I like the concept of like a floating sniper's perch. That's very cool, but I don't like the look of it. Seeing Skaven in something like this would be really cool though. Then Sentinels. Born of the Dragon's mastery of the elemental winds. Thane's Sentinels are towering statues fashioned to look like great warriors. Travelers in Grand Cathay may notice them inert, dotted around cities or standing guard over bridges. Legend tells that they are the remnants of a once vast army created by the Dragon Emperor in a distant past, when chaos threatened Grand Cathay before. That's cool. That's very much terracotta warrior kind of style. Yeah, I definitely get into that. Then Arcane Journal. So I guess that's just your army book. This Miao Ying, the Storm Dragon. This is an amazing model. No, is it? And is this like one of those Marathi things where both of those are the same entity? I feel like that's what it is, but we'll have a little look. No less a personage than the supreme matriarch of Nangao, has made the perilous journey to the old world to lead the forces of Grand Cathay against the forces of evil. The eldest living daughter of the Dragon Emperor, Castellan, the Great Bastion, has guarded the northern provinces of Grand Cathay against chaos incursions and marauding hobgoblins for many centuries. Yet with the threat mounting, she finds herself at the head of an expedition to a strange land. A warrior and sorcerer of consummate power, Stormdragon assumes two forms in battle, yeah, so it is the same person. Human crackling with arcane energy, and a noble dragon to strike terror into the black hearts of the foe. Perhaps now she will be able to restore balance to the old world. Stay tuned for yeah. So yeah, that dragon is sick. And even the actual human form is not too bad. Yeah, I like that. I like that model a lot. And then our last article, the Wood Elf realms and Beastmen Greyherds battle for the forests of the old world. So, oh, is this both? The Wood Elves look kind of cool. That thing, whatever it is, like a treant kind of buzz. Guy on the Falcon, the Stag, Cavalry. I'm not an elf person, so these like little Lothlorien foot soldiers and archers aren't my thing. The Beastmen foot soldiers are much more up my alley. Not so much the big creatures. Those things, whatever they're minotaurs or ogres. We'll have a little look. It contains background on the culture of the Greyheads, including their language as well as rules for two armies of infamy. The primal wild herds and all-devouring minotaur blood herds. Also special characters, yeah, they're just minotaurs. Shamans and chieftains. So we've got vaguely. They're not even really goat men. They're just kind of. So here's your goat men. And something like these have that same cartoony feel to them, but because they're so far removed from anything that is real, it's not as obvious. Like, look, big hands, big heads, a cartoonish feel to them, but they are fantastical creatures rather than looking like human faces. So there's something just, I guess it just doesn't. It's not as alien because there's no real world equivalent. That's kind of cool. I don't like the head, but I do like the body and the arms. Okay. Ungors, it swarms skirmishers, bloodthirsty gores, savage and superior beastigores. So that must be gorgons and cygors. Oh, those are cool. Wait. Oh, okay. So there's also resin minis coming. Some of these will be resin. Yeah. Like these are really nice sculpts, but the fact that they're resin is a bit. Who knows? I've never worked with Games Workshop resins. I don't actually know what it's like. Now this guy's pretty cool. What are these? Are these named characters? Oh, what? Metal models? No way. That is very interesting. So, uh, this is so plastic minis. So these must have all been old minis in the actual Warhammer Fantasy. Okay, that's cool. We've got the Stag Knights returning in plastic. And then the rest are going to be metal. That's honestly not as bad. Like, you can see it in the humanoids though. Yeah. Okay, so there's metal. Yeah. Can't say I'm as excited for any of that. The highlight for Adepticon for me is definitely this Kill Team Typhon. But yeah, comment down below what you're most excited about from the Adepticon reveals. And yeah, I'll see you next video. Peace.